anymore. She says, we have to feed those same people. And that, I mean, this was like stream of consciousness off the couch. She was possessed because this whole thing came out of her mouth in that weekend. And one thing led to another. Now it was these couple hundred homes. I know how we can feed a community based on having this issue of homelessness. And now it was feeding them. And then when we, worked the pilot program, then to the soup kitchen, then to the first location, then to the second location, where she took it even to another level was when you sat with those people around the tables and they opened up to you. Mm-hmm. That's when you started to realize it was more than breaking bread. Now there was job training. I haven't been in the workplace because of the economic downturn in 15 years. I don't know how to fill out a resume again. I don't know how to apply for a job. I'm in my mid 40s, let's pretend, right? For the sake of conversation. So now we had to think about service providing. So in our second location, we brought under one roof the food pantry so people could get groceries, the food bank so people could push pallets, and these are volunteer opportunities for our restaurant, a culinary program, and a service provider. So that's all under one roof.
Beat?
Yeah, the Beat Center.
Beat Center.
Bringing everyone all together.
I love that.
And that
Beat.
was us.
Bringing everyone all together.
Right.
BEAT.
Because again, who would have thought, but when we created the first Soul Kitchen in our little bistro, we would say, do you know that there's a service provider in the industrial park, which is located on Parkway exit 105? And they'd say, how do you think we're going to get there? We're in suburban New Jersey.
Yeah.
How do we get there?
Public transportation.
And when we started to think of these things, we went, oh my goodness, how do we get things under one roof? How do we, give them the opportunities to do these things while creating volunteer opportunities, while feeding people, creating community? So we created the Beat Center.
And if we can just go back to what John was saying about that program about resume writing.
Right.
Someone called us out of the blue and said, I worked with Goldman Sachs. I'm taking care of my 2 elderly parents. My mother has Alzheimer's, but I'd love to get out and help people with their resumes. I didn't even know what HR was at the time. I was like, yeah, sure, come on over. So she started working with our underemployed and unemployed volunteers. And like John said, with resume writing. And that is now a whole program with 14 HR professionals who volunteer their time, financial advisors, legal advisors, resume writing, because these were middle management people, like John said, who had never, they didn't know how to apply online because they had never done that. They hadn't gone to a job interview in 20 years and had no idea how to kind of navigate that. So we created this program, and that program has a 97% success rate in getting people job offers.
Wow.
Yeah.
When you say all this and you're, I'm sitting here listening to you,
and you're like, Dorothea, you were such a mess up when I knew you were in California. You were so crazy.
No, I wasn't thinking that at all, actually. I was thinking how proud I am of you.
That's so
and
sweet.
I was wondering if you feel fed by this, so to speak, since you're talking about feeding others. Do you feel fed by this? Do you feel...
I do it. It's a byproduct of what we do because I'm more that, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? We've got to do more. We've got to do more. And how do we end poverty? And what do we do about mental illness in this country? And, so there's always, things to be done. But I definitely, like today when we were down in Toms River and, we're feeding people and like John said, that's a very working class, hardworking, I don't need the help. Those people need the help kind of people. They're so
that's
proud.
Where you guys come from, right?
Yeah. And the people are so proud. And it's just... it just makes you cry when you see people just wanting to give back to their neighbors, and they're just getting by themselves. I mean, it's powerful.
I'm wondering actually when you said I bet you're sitting there thinking I'm a mess up. I'm actually going back. I never really had that impression of you. Did you feel? No, I'm just actually asking. Did you feel like it takes, like Hoda was saying, and she was saying, I'm 54 and I feel like I'm finally. Got it. I
feel like I've had 7 lifetimes. I think when we had our house in Malibu, that was such a different time. Our kids were little, we were just starting our family, and then, then your kids go to school. I kind of base everything around, and then, around our kids. And then it's and now, I'm 50 and I start this thing. What was I thinking? But it was, it's been very fulfilling. And I think, it does make you feel good to give back. It's not necessarily the motivation. You're trying to, make a change, but it definitely it feels like such a long lifetime ago when we were in California.
But I think that what's inspiring about that is that, as I said, I meet people all the time, as I know you do, and everybody's so like, I got to get this before I'm 30, like I got to make this money. I got to find what I'm doing. I got to find it, which is, I think, what fueling so much anxiety that we see. Not only we have kids around the same age, there's so much anxiety in young people, but I meet women my age and younger who are just like, oh my God, what am I doing? Where's my purpose? I can't find it. And to kind of know that you have multiple lifetimes, right? It's a marathon.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
It's a journey. It's definitely, there's no destination. It's a journey. That's what I tell my kids all the time. It's like, you might get that job and you think that's it, but that's just like the choice you've made now until the next choice comes along. I think for all of us, it's the journey.
What is this difference, do you think, John, has made in Dorothea?
Oh, I think it's changed her. As I look back on those mid '90s when we were in California, the charity was never in, our foundation, these restaurants. They were never on my mind at the time. I mean, if you think about how I was coming to you about the movie business, right? I was like, all right, music leads to movies leads to California. Okay, let's do this. So none of this was on our radar. Then I asked my wife to move to New York, and 10 years ago. And we
After
moved,
you built a house in New Jersey.
after we built
A beautiful home in
a
New Jersey.
ridiculously, nice home. But we never lived there. We're never there. But then the foundation, and I wasn't going to own the football team any longer, took on another life with the restaurants. And then Dorothea not only created the model, but then said, I'm going to take this aspect of the foundation. And then I think it's become a big part of what she does now because
But I would say that you always did charity. Like you would raise.
Well, I did. I
You
did things, but I'm
tons.
just saying
This
to
is
run
charity.
our
Right.
foundation.
This is social to me. This
Right.
is not. We're not.
This is
running
not
a-
charity.
Right.
No, this is social justice.
And this isn't lending my name to something like, all the work we did with the Olympics.
Yeah.
This is different. This is our thing that we created that is unlike anything else that exists, period. So we created that needle in the haystack. But Dorothea's identity to it is what made it unique. It's the Soul Kitchens that has made us that 1 in a million. When Hurricane Katrina happened and I called your friend Oprah, right? And I embarrassed her on national TV and I took a check out of my pocket and we built houses.
Right.
Again, an attaboy. That was a 7-digit check that I took out of my pocket.
That you had earned.
So, and everybody went, oh, attaboy. But when we created the Soul Kitchens, we never envisioned this 20 years ago. And now I think it's given Dorothea this great purpose-driven life that is just helping her and us and it grow
What do you
while we're
think
affecting change.
that is? You said you built all these houses. You gave money and you got an attaboy.
And it's
And-
okay. It
and-
wasn't
No,
for,
but I'm saying,
right.
what are you getting now? Are you getting a wow?
Oh, everyone
Oh,
wants to
yeah.
start one. Everyone's like, that is the greatest thing. How do I do that?
Oh, yeah.
That's what we get all the time.
So now is the vision franchises?
Well, it's a whole nother conversation, but that we're
Okay,
on
you'll
to
come
something
back,
now.
part 2. You're on to something big. You're into
Now
wow.
we're really going to do something.
Yeah, bigger than big. Well, like I'd said before, and it'll just be, you'll come back to this when we'll come back to this in a year. Those who believed in the restaurant but weren't sure because of the unfamiliarity of the model to not come. There would be many of folk who'd said, I'll give you money, but I'm not coming. And I'd say, I need you to come. I need you to support and to feel a part of this community.
And create community.
I didn't need their money. It wasn't what it was about. It's a small restaurant. So that when we built the second one, again, we broadened it. Now with what we're going to do is it's bigger and better than franchise. But again, it's finding the issue and tackling it head on and not needing a scientist to find a cure. That's our bumper sticker.
Yeah, because you went in and started small, like Mommy started in the
Yeah.
backyard.
Yeah.
You started small, you asked the questions, and it became a passion. So it's not like, oh, you ran around and said, I need to find my purpose. I got to
No,
find my
no, no,
purpose.
no.
That's
It
why
was
I
very
always said-
organic. This whole thing has been extremely organic in
Right.
the way that and then once you put it out there, then we had a farmer come and say, here's an acre of land. You can grow your own vegetables. And, it's that kind of thing. You just kind of put it out there in the universe.
So they're going to come back when we have part 2 of this and talk about the bigger. But I don't want to leave without just saying that, obviously I said that we were friends. And one of the things I've always admired about the two of you is the two of you. The two of you. It's true, the two of you. And so I think it's really interesting to people and to me how you keep your relationship meaningful. Your kids, you've got 4 kids, and their family is front and center. So how do you think you've done that? Because that's heroic, really.
Well, I think because we've known each other for so long, and I think that we came from the same kind of background, grew up in the same town, have those same kind of values, value the same things. We love our family, and I think that's always been our priority. And I think that that's, kind of, it's not as glamorous as people want to think that your life is. We try to stay normal. I mean, I don't know how normal we are, but we try to stay grounded.
I thought of, I don't know, I saw Glenn Close at the Golden Globes, when she won for The Wife. And I've spoken to so many women about the speech she made where she said, I spoke to my mother at the end of her life, and she said, I've done nothing. And that so many women felt of her generation, our generation, and others, that they end up in the wife or the mother role. And society doesn't kind of attaboy that.
Yeah, that's the issue.
Add a girl that
You've done
role,
right, yeah.
and then add on fame for the guy, right, or the girl. And so, how have you navigated that?
I have never been that person who, to get me to come on this podcast, Maria.
Yeah.
It was basically, I think,
Well,
I had
I
no
knew
choice.
it was. It was getting to go out to dinner with you. Afterwards.
right? I was blackmailed.
Thank you.
It was extortion, and it's not what drives me. I don't care to be famous. I don't want to be in the spotlight. I don't do what I do to be in the spotlight. And I think that, if that's what someone likes, that's good for them. It's not what, doesn't work for me.
Have you ever struggled feeling in that role, invisible, smaller?
I'm fine being invisible.
Yeah.
I always, it's like we have this joke. We'll go out to dinner. Everyone gets their meal but me because everyone's looking at John, so my order never shows up. But it's, that's if that's the worst problem, I'm fine. I mean, we have a very blessed life. We are very, life is what it is. It is. It's just that journey, and you never know. And here we are.
And what's the best advice you give to your kids as they set out to find partners who share same values and who want to kind of go the distance like you guys? And do meaningful work, really.
Well, I tell them that they should be friends first. I think that's important to, you have to respect the person you're with. You have to love the person you're with. But I think you have to be friends with the person you're with.
And share the same values?
Yeah, yeah.
Is that what you say?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, we, like I said many times, we went to high school together. So Dorothea didn't join the roller coaster when I was him.
Yeah.
She didn't know him. And so we've been through the ups and the downs of my career. And so that just gave us opportunity to do other things. And as we grew together. And that was very important. We grew together. So no matter what it is that we are blessed with now or the journey that we're on, we did it together. So it wasn't like she walked in off the street and I was, that guy or I was sleeping on her couch for, years before. So that was an important factor. And we figured it out because there was no manual when you have kids. They just drop them off.
Yeah.
Now you're like, now what?
And they're all different.
All of that. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So we've learned all those things together. And, we also, we went back home, we knew not to go to a place that was unfamiliar to, that we didn't think was right for us. And that kind of part of our journey too. So it continues to work.
And they build homes and feed people and make them feel at home. And I'm so glad, Dorothea, that somehow you got dragged out because I understand that this is your vision. I understand the work that you're doing. And I just wanted people to hear about that and join you.
Well, it was good to spend some time with you.
Okay, now we're going to go to dinner.
Yay.
Okay, yay. Thank you.